Imagine improving your life by just 1% every single day. It doesn't sound impressive. In fact, most people would ignore such a tiny change. But here's the surprising part. A 1% improvement, repeated every day for a year, doesn't make you just a little better. It can completely transform your life. The problem is that most people chase huge results while ignoring the small habits that create them. They want to lose weight overnight, build wealth in a few months, become successful as quickly as possible. But lasting success rarely happens that way. It begins with the small decisions nobody notices. The choice to wake up a little earlier, read one more page, save a few dollars, take one extra step. Those tiny actions seem meaningless today, until one day they become the reason your life looks completely different. In this video, you'll discover the most powerful lessons inspired by atomic habits and learn how small daily actions can lead to extraordinary results. Most people try to change their lives by chasing big goals. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to become rich. I want to start a business. Goals sound exciting because they give us something to aim for. But there's one problem. Goals only tell you where you want to go. They don't tell you who you need to become. Imagine two people training for a marathon. One keeps saying, "I want to finish the race." The other says, "I'm becoming a runner." The difference may seem small, but it changes everything. The first person is focused on the finish line. The second person is building a new identity. Every time they lace up their shoes and go for a run, they're proving something to themselves. I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit. Real change begins when your actions match the person you want to become. If you want to be healthy, don't just chase a number on the scale. Become someone who values exercise and good nutrition. If you want financial freedom, don't only dream about making more money. Become someone who saves, invests, and thinks long-term. Your habits are votes for the person you're becoming. One action won't transform your life overnight. But thousands of small actions repeated over time will create a completely different future. The question isn't, what do I want to achieve? The better question is, who do I want to become? And once your identity begins to change, building good habits becomes much easier. Think about a plane leaving New York for Los Angeles. If the pilot changes the direction by only a few degrees, passengers won't notice. The plane still looks like it's heading in the right direction. But hours later, it could land hundreds of miles away from its original destination. Life works the same way. Small daily choices seem insignificant. Reading 10 pages. Walking for 20 minutes. Saving a few dollars. Turning off your phone before bed. None of these actions will change your life today. That's why most people underestimate them. But days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. And suddenly, those tiny decisions have shaped your health, your finances, your relationships, and your future. Success isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built quietly, through ordinary actions repeated consistently. The challenge is that progress is often invisible in the beginning. People quit because they don't see immediate results. They assume nothing is happening. But just because you can't see growth doesn't mean growth isn't taking place. Like a seed growing beneath the ground, the most important changes happen long before anyone notices them. That's why patience isn't just helpful. It's essential. The people who succeed aren't always the most talented. They're often the ones who continue showing up long after everyone else has given up. And that's exactly what the next lesson is about. Making good habits so easy that you almost can't fail. Have you ever promised yourself that you would start a new habit tomorrow, only to forget about it the next day? You're not lazy. You're human. Our brains naturally focus on what's obvious and immediate. That's why we often forget the habits that could improve our lives while easily remembering the distractions that waste our time. If you want a habit to become part of your life, make it impossible to ignore. For example, if you want to read more, don't leave your book hidden inside a drawer. Place it on your pillow before you leave the house. When you return at night, it will be the first thing you see. If you want to drink more water, fill a bottle and leave it on your desk. If you want to exercise in the morning, prepare your workout clothes the night before. These small changes may seem insignificant, but they remove one of the biggest obstacles to building better habits: forgetting. Your environment influences your behavior far more than you realize. Every room you enter silently tells your brain what to do. A kitchen full of junk food encourages unhealthy eating. A clean desk encourages focused work. A phone lying next to your bed invites endless scrolling before you fall asleep. Success is rarely about having stronger willpower. It's about designing an environment where the right choice becomes the easiest choice. People with great habits aren't constantly fighting temptation. They simply create situations where making the right decision feels natural. That's why changing your surroundings can often be more powerful than trying to change yourself. Once your environment starts working in your favor, good habits require less effort. And that's when consistency becomes possible. But there's another trick successful people use. They make good habits so easy that saying no feels almost impossible. One of the biggest reasons people fail isn't because they lack motivation. They fail because they try to do too much too soon. Think about how most people begin a new goal. On Monday, they decide to change their entire life. They plan to wake up at 5 a.m., work out for an hour, read 50 pages, eat perfectly, meditate, learn a new skill. For a day or two, everything feels exciting. Then reality arrives. They're tired, busy, unmotivated. And within a week, the new routine disappears. The mistake wasn't setting a goal. The mistake was making the habit too difficult. Instead of trying to read 50 pages, read just one. Instead of running 5 miles, put on your shoes and walk outside. Instead of spending 2 hours learning a new skill, spend 5 minutes. It may seem too easy to matter. But that's exactly the point. A habit that feels easy is far more likely to become part of your daily life. Once showing up becomes automatic, improving becomes much easier. Success isn't built by one perfect day. It's built by hundreds of ordinary days where you simply refuse to quit. Remember, consistency always beats intensity. A small action repeated every day will accomplish far more than one huge effort followed by weeks of doing nothing. The goal isn't to impress yourself today. The goal is to become the kind of person who never stops showing up. Because once a habit becomes part of your identity, it no longer feels like hard work. It simply becomes who you are. And that leads to one of the most powerful truths about success. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You rise to the level of your daily systems. Most people believe they fail because they don't have enough discipline. But in many cases, discipline isn't the real problem. The real problem is the environment they live in. Imagine trying to eat healthy while your kitchen is filled with chips, candy, and soda. Every time you open the cupboard, you're forced to make another difficult decision. Sooner or later, willpower runs out. Now imagine a different environment. Fresh fruit is on the table. Water is always within reach. Healthy meals are already prepared. Suddenly, making the right choice doesn't require much effort. The same principle applies to every habit. If your phone is always beside you, you'll check it without thinking. If your television is the first thing you see when you get home, you'll probably spend the evening watching it. But if a book is waiting on your desk, or your running shoes are already by the front door, those simple visual reminders quietly guide your behavior. Successful people don't rely on motivation every single day. They build environments that make success easier. Instead of fighting bad habits, They remove the temptation before it becomes a problem. Instead of hoping they'll make the right choice, they design their surroundings so the right choice feels natural. Your environment is always influencing your decisions, even when you don't notice it. So don't just ask yourself, how can I become more disciplined? Ask a better question. How can I make good habits easier and bad habits harder? Sometimes changing one small thing around you can completely change the actions you take every day. And once your environment starts working for you instead of against you, building better habits becomes much easier. Because lasting success isn't about having perfect self-control. It's about making success the easiest option available. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is this: I'll start when everything is perfect. Next Monday. Next month. After the holidays. When life becomes less busy. But that perfect moment almost never comes. Successful people don't wait for perfect conditions. They simply begin. Think about learning a new language. If you study for 10 minutes today, you'll know a little more than you did yesterday. If you skip today because you don't have an hour, you've learned nothing. The same is true for every habit. A short workout is better than no workout. Reading one page is better than reading nothing. Saving $10 is better than saving $0. Small progress may not feel exciting. It won't impress anyone. In fact, most people won't even notice it. But that's exactly how meaningful change happens. Little by little. Day after day. One decision at a time. Perfection often becomes an excuse for procrastination. People spend weeks planning the perfect routine, the perfect schedule, the perfect strategy. Meanwhile, someone else simply starts. And after a year, the person who started imperfectly is far ahead of the person who never began. Don't judge your progress by a single day. Judge it by the direction you're moving. Some days you'll have more energy. Some days you'll have less. That's normal. What matters is that you keep returning to the habit. Even if today's effort is only 1%. Because every time you choose to continue instead of quitting, you're strengthening the person you're becoming. Remember this. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be consistent. And once consistency becomes part of your life, success is no longer a matter of luck. It's simply a matter of time. Now let's move to the next lesson. The simple secret that helps successful people stay on track, even when motivation disappears. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has bad days. Most people become obsessed with results. They focus on losing 10 pounds, making more money, getting promoted, or building a successful business. There's nothing wrong with having goals. But goals can only keep you motivated for a short time. What truly changes your life is learning to enjoy the process itself. Think about someone who starts going to the gym. If their only motivation is to lose weight, they'll become frustrated when progress slows down. Eventually, they'll quit. Now imagine someone who genuinely enjoys exercising. They like feeling stronger. They enjoy the routine. They appreciate becoming healthier every week. For them, working out isn't a punishment. It's simply part of who they are. The same principle applies to every habit. If saving money feels like a sacrifice, you'll eventually stop. But if you enjoy watching your investments grow and knowing you're creating a better future, saving becomes rewarding. If reading feels like homework, you'll struggle to stay consistent. But if you're curious and excited to learn something new every day, opening a book becomes something you look forward to. Long-term success belongs to people who enjoy the journey, not just the destination. Because the destination only lasts for a moment. The process lasts a lifetime. When you begin appreciating the small victories, reading one more page, taking one more walk, saving one more dollar, you'll discover that happiness doesn't come after reaching your goal. It comes from becoming a little better every single day. And that's the secret. Don't chase motivation. Build a lifestyle that you actually enjoy. Because when the process becomes enjoyable, consistency no longer feels like hard work. It simply becomes the way you live. And that brings us to one final lesson. The habit that quietly separates average people from those who achieve extraordinary success. Even the most successful people lose motivation sometimes. The difference is not that they never fail. The difference is that they don't let one bad day become a bad week. Imagine you've been going to the gym every morning for 2 months. Then one day, you oversleep. Does that mean you've failed? Of course not. But many people think that way. They miss one workout and decide they'll start again next month. They eat one unhealthy meal and convince themselves the entire diet is ruined. They skip one day of studying and stop completely. One mistake turns into a new habit. Successful people think differently. They follow one simple rule. Never miss twice. If they skip today's workout, they show up tomorrow. If they spend too much money this week, they save more next week. If they break a good habit, they repair it immediately instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Because habits aren't destroyed by one mistake. They're destroyed by giving up. Progress has never been about perfection. It's about recovery. The faster you return to your routine, the stronger that routine becomes. Life will always interrupt your plans. You'll get busy. You'll feel tired. Unexpected problems will appear. That's normal. The goal isn't to build a life without obstacles. The goal is to build habits that survive obstacles. So the next time you have a bad day, don't ask yourself, why did I fail? Ask yourself, how quickly can I get back on track? That single question can change your future. Because success doesn't belong to the people who never fall. It belongs to the people who always get back up. And in the next lesson, you'll discover why enjoying the process is often more important than chasing the result itself. Take a moment and think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. How do they talk about money? How do they spend their weekends? What habits have they normalized? Whether we realize it or not, we naturally copy the behavior of the people around us. If everyone in your circle complains, you'll slowly begin complaining too. If everyone wastes money trying to impress others, that lifestyle starts to feel normal. If no one reads books, exercises, or works on personal growth, it's much harder to stay consistent yourself. But the opposite is also true. Spend enough time with people who value learning, and you'll begin reading more. Surround yourself with disciplined people, and discipline starts to feel natural. Be around people who think long-term, and you'll stop chasing shortcuts. Success isn't only about making better decisions. It's also about choosing the right environment, and that includes the people in your life. You don't need hundreds of successful friends. Sometimes one positive influence is enough to completely change your direction. That's one reason books are so powerful. Every great book allows you to spend a few hours learning from someone who has already solved problems you're still facing. In a way, your bookshelf becomes your circle of friends. Choose it wisely. The people you listen to. The videos you watch. The conversations you have every day. They quietly shape the person you're becoming. If you want to change your habits, don't just change your schedule. Change your environment. Change your influences. And most importantly, spend more time with people who inspire you to become better than you were yesterday. Because success is rarely built alone. It's built through the ideas, habits, and examples we absorb from those around us. And that brings us to the final lesson. The one habit that ties everything together and determines whether these changes last for a lifetime. If there's one idea to remember from this video, let it be this. Your life doesn't change because of one big decision. It changes because of the small choices you repeat every single day. Every habit is like casting a vote for the person you want to become. When you choose to read instead of scrolling through social media, you're becoming someone who values knowledge. When you save money instead of spending it impulsively, you're becoming someone who thinks about the future. When you keep going after a difficult day instead of giving up, you're becoming someone who is resilient. Success is never built in a single moment. It's built quietly, behind the scenes, when nobody is watching. One day, people may look at your life and call you lucky. But they won't see the thousands of small decisions that brought you there. The truth is, extraordinary lives are built through ordinary habits. And the best time to start isn't next Monday. It's today. Because a year from now, you'll either wish you had started, or you'll be grateful that you did. The choice is yours. The ideas you've heard today aren't complicated. They're simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. Real change begins when knowledge becomes action. Reading one book won't change your life. Watching one video won't make you successful. But applying even one lesson consistently can completely change your future. So don't try to change everything overnight. Choose one small habit. Start today. Repeat it tomorrow. Then do it again the next day. Months from now, you'll realize that the biggest transformation came from the smallest decisions. If you enjoyed this summary and want to learn powerful ideas from the world's best books on wealth, psychology, business, productivity, and self-improvement, make sure to subscribe. Every week, we turn best-selling books into simple, practical lessons you can apply immediately. Thank you for watching. And remember, small habits create extraordinary lives. See you in the next video.